Mr. Falcon, a very good morning to you.
And a very good morning to you too, Vijay.
So in the debate last week, this came out that if you do not win the leadership race, you will not be running as an MLA. Why is that, Mr. Falcon?
Oh, well, because, look, I've already been an MLA. I've been an MLA for 12 years. I was very proud to serve as an MLA in the senior cabinet roles in health and transportation and finance. But I'm running to be leader of this party, to be very, very clear. And, you know, there's lots of ways that you can help this party. When I wasn't in government over the past 8 years, for example, I helped the party by raising money, by identifying and finding good candidates, by helping out and attending conventions, et cetera. So there's lots of ways you can help this party. To suggest, as some of my opponents do, that the only way you can help is by running as an MLA is just not accurate.
You touched upon the fact that how the support has been eroded in some of the suburban centres, and you mentioned that you've been an MLA from Surrey Cloverdale. Since the time from the last time when you were actively involved in politics, the change in demographics, how much of a play do you think that's going to have? Because would you agree, or what would be your response to the fact that your reference point is from the time when the demographics looked much different in the riding and in other neighborhoods?
Sure. Of course it has changed, Vijay, and I think that's a really excellent point. And look, I think it's important to remind your listeners, the reason I am running is really not so much for me, it's for my two young girls that are 8 and 11. But not them specifically. I mean all the young kids of that age group. I want to make sure that we have leadership in this province, again, that is not afraid to make the kind of long-term investments we need to be making. Most people in Surrey will remember me for things like building the Portman Bridge and the Canada Line and the South Fraser Perimeter Road and a lot of projects like that. And I did that because I recognized that we've got lots of truckers and goods movements and people that rely on infrastructure to get around the Lower Mainland. And we need to have leaders that understand how important it is to invest in those things.
Now, Mr. Falcon, after last week's debate, it was evident that you were the person that everybody wanted to target, all the other members, but also from the NDP. I saw a tweet from Bowen Ma the very next day after the debate. She retweeted one of your tweets, and then she put a comment. He was definitely the most financially successful property developer in the debate. Now, your professional credentials as a property developer, as somebody who is involved in the real estate industry, is also being pegged along with your candidacy because of the home affordability issues and everything else, and also the issues around some of the land deals which happened when you were in cabinet. So what's your response to this sort of a rhetoric?
Sure. So first of all, understand it is just rhetoric. I mean, the NDP hate any kind of success. So anyone that is successful, they view that as somehow a bad thing. And I think that's very unfortunate, because one of the things I'm really proud of is the fact that as I go throughout the South Asian community in particular, you see lots of success. Lawyers, property developers, home builders, contractors, et cetera. That's not something that we need to point a finger at and say, oh, that's a bad thing. So that's number one. Number two is, look at the NDP and how totally incompetent they are in managing the housing file. They brought in all these new taxes in 2018, and they said that this was going to make housing more affordable. Well, here we are 3 years later. How much more affordable has housing got? Not at all. It's gotten more expensive. And the reason is they don't know what they're doing, DJ. Now, I do know what I'm doing, and wouldn't it be refreshing to have somebody that's the premier of this province that actually understands the housing business? I think that is a positive thing. Only the NDP would think it's a negative thing that somebody really understands the industry and may have had some success in it too. I mean, that just shows you how far removed they are from, getting the kind of results the public wants. At the end of the day, I can tell you, if we need more housing affordability, and we do, the way we're going to get there is not by adding more cost to housing, which is what the NDP do. It's by creating a heck of a lot more housing supply. So there's a lot more options for first-time buyers out there. We need more market rental. We need more affordable rental. We need more condos, more townhomes, more houses. We need more of everything. And that's what I'll do, is make sure we get a lot more supply in the market so we get a lot more choices.
So do you see a lot more collaboration, or what some people might say interference of the provincial government within the municipal jurisdiction?
I would argue for there needs to be more interference, because I think that the local governments, are just, for the most part, are doing a horrible job in terms of getting that supply into the market. It is not uncommon for municipalities to take 5-6 years to approve straightforward developments. And I'll tell you, when we have that kind of restriction on supply, what happens is there's less product in the market. There's increased demand every year because we get 70,000 people moving to British Columbia on average every year. And if there's very little new supply coming in the market, that's what drives up prices. It's basic supply and demand. So we need to work with the municipalities. I think we can probably do it cooperatively with them, but understanding that if they're not prepared to cooperate, we're going to have to make some changes to ensure that we get timely approvals of new and much-needed housing.
There are some municipal issues in Surrey which have been a sticking point politically for a while now, one being the police transition, Surrey RCMP or the Surrey Police, and there are people on either side of the debate. Which side are you on, Mr. Falcon? Would you like to weigh in on it, first of all?
No, I don't. Just because, look, I have an expression I use from my days as highways minister, and that is to stay in your own lane. I just generally don't talk about federal politics, and I don't talk about municipal political decisions. I let the local people work that out. And I know that's an active debate in Surrey, and, there are two sides to that debate. I'll let them have those debates and arguments and decide what is in their own best interest.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And also, Mr. Falcon, no matter how adversarial, you're still a part of the same team when you're running for the BC Liberal Party's leadership. How important is it to keep that dynamic in mind? Because if a candidate gets too aggressive or attacking, well, members could very easily start thinking, how's this person going to keep the party all together should they become the leader? So how important is that dynamic? How does that play out?
Well, I think you saw how I managed that during the leadership debate, right? I was being attacked by almost everybody, and I understand that because they view me as a front runner, and so they all want to, try and attack me. But you'll notice I did not attack back because I'm thinking much more longer term. I'm thinking about the interests of this party, and it's important that we come out of this united and stronger. I've said before, I'll say it again, I think all the other candidates are good people. I think they all bring important attributes to the table. But I think at the end of the day, the decision our members are going to make is who amongst these candidates has the experience and the skill set and the respect in the Lower Mainland to be able to credibly win those seats back that we need to win back so that we can form government and do some really good things for the province. And I think, that the membership will make that decision.
Mr. Falcon, when can we expect to hear some of the ideas for the new party names? Have you thought of some names? Would you be able to share some of those with us right now, or is that something you're holding close to your chest?
Yeah, well, it's not just close to the chest. It's more about we've got to identify what those potential names are, and then bring some of those forward to our party membership for approval. But I do think that as we look at reinvigorating this party and rebooting this party, we also should look at rebranding the party, because I think it's a great opportunity for us to really emphasize that under Kevin Falcon leadership, I want this to be what I call a big tent party, Vijay. And what I mean by that is I want more diversity. I want people that are going to be involved in this party that are, regardless of their sexual orientation, regardless of what religion they belong to, I want them all to feel welcome in a BC Liberal Party led by Kevin Falcon. That's very, very important to me, because I want to make sure that we are as open and welcoming and diverse as we can possibly be.
Mr. Falcon, the BC legislature is reconvening starting today after a fairly long gap. What is it that you would like to see happen in this 24-day sitting?
Well, I think that the BC Liberals, will do a very good job of holding the government to account. After all, that's what opposition is supposed to do. It's supposed to hold the government to account. I think that they will probably do a very good job in pointing out the shortcomings of government, which they should be doing. I think they'll point out that it's not good enough when the government is hiding information about COVID from families and parents that are sending kids to schools. We need to make sure that the government is sharing all that information openly and transparently so that parents don't have to worry and wonder what's going on in their schools. Right now, you literally have parents having to go to Facebook groups to try and get information about what's happening in schools. That is not good enough. And this government has got to stop hiding information and share it with people so that we don't have a situation where people distrust their own government.
Mr. Falcon, we wish you a fruitful trip on the island. When you come back to the Lower Mainland, we look forward to having a face-to-face conversation with you at some point in the studio.
Would love to do that, Vijay. And thank you so much for a great interview and good questions.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Okay. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.